Hi, my name is Amy Ganchert. I did my final project on target games, looking at bowling at the elementary level with a focus on game design. For the inquiry game, I did a game called Fitness Bowling, which I do every year with my K-5 students. The tactical problem would be rolling for accuracy and direction. The game would be a 10-pin bowling game with candlepin rules. The lesson focused would be determining any prior knowledge and skill in bowling. The goal would be to knock over as many pins as you can in 3 rolls of the bowling ball. The objective would be to demonstrate prior knowledge and skills in bowling while working together in a group with their peers. The conditions: I set up the gym with as many lanes as possible. For 10-pin bowling, about 4 to 5 students in each lane. This will depend on the amount of equipment that you have and space that you have. If you don't have enough bowling pins for this, you can drop it down to a different amount of pins at each lane. You can use bumpers or lane dividers if you have them. We tape pool noodles to the floor. Sometimes mats can work well. Floor tape marks the foot fault line and where the students need to roll from behind. There's direction arrows to allow them to know where to go when they are finished bowling. We need 1 ball and 4 to 5 poly spots. So the game details: the students will be broken up into groups of 4 or 5, and they are assigned a bowling lane. There will need to be a brief instruction where the tactical problem will be presented, which is rolling for accuracy and direction. The game directions: each student starts on a poly spot. The spot on the foot fault line is for the bowler. This is the game design setup. As you can see, the small circles are the bowling pins, the red lines indicate the lanes. The yellow circle is the poly spot for the bowler, that's the bowling spot. From there, they get 3 turns to knock over as many pins as possible. The blue spot is where one teammate will stand, and that person's job is to roll the ball back to the bowler. And it's also to fix the bowling pins if and only if they have knocked all 10 over or their 3 turns are over. And sometimes the noodles don't block every other team's ball from coming in, so I will allow them to reset pins if another team's ball happens to cross over and knock them down as well. The green spot is the stretching spot where the students can utilize any stretches they've learned in previous lessons to get ready to bowl. The pink spot is the exercise spot. And this is to warm up for your turn to bowl. So at this spot, the students do any exercises that they can do in that area safely. This setup, this game design, allows for all students to be participating at the same time. There may not be enough room for every student to bowl the entire time, and using this game design, it allows for a maximum participation from all students. The arrows indicate how the students rotate. So once they are done bowling, the student then goes behind the pins, and when they're behind the pins when the bowler is finished, they go all the way to the pink spot and do their exercises. And then from there, they move to the green spot to do their stretches. And from there, they become the bowler. And the bowler gets 3 rolls, similar to candlepin bowling. This slide is a key that explains everything that I had just mentioned in the slide before that. The yellow circle is the bowler, the blue is the pin setup spot, green is stretching, pink is the exercise spot. The arrows indicate the direction the students rotate. The bowling pins, the bowling ball, the foot fault line, which I use tape on the floor to mark, unless there's a line on your gym floor that can be used already. And the lane dividers, as I said before, we use pool noodles or mats, or sometimes if we don't have the time for that big of a setup, we just hope that they can keep the ball in their lane. Game design conditions. So each student will start on a spot. I assign their spots, and that will give them their team. As I said before, the bowling spot, the bowler gets 3 rolls to knock down as many pins as they can. The bowler must keep their feet behind the line. When they have completed their 3rd roll, they then move behind the pins. The pin setup spot, the student rolls the ball back to the bowler and fixes the pins only if they knock all 10 over or the bowler had 3 turns. When the bowler is done, the student behind the pins rotates to the exercise spot. On the exercise spot, the students perform the exercise of their choice until the bowler's turn is over. Then they move to the stretching spot, where the students perform stretches of their choice until the bowler's turn is over, and then they move to the bowling spot. Teacher observations of the inquiry game. I've never utilized this model for bowling, but I can see how well it will work in my gym. In previous years, I've gone through bowling and taught the critical elements first and then set up the lanes, but I can see how doing it this way, the students will be a little bit more excited about bowling. The majority of elementary students have been bowling before. And so a lot of them think that they don't need to practice right away, but doing the inquiry game first will allow them to see that learning the skills will be helpful. And it also gives the teacher a chance to observe where students are in their skills and how much tasks, lessons they will need after. So after students have been given directions, a group and a lane, allow them to play while the teacher observes. Observation during the inquiry game gives the student and teacher opportunity to observe what students already know and what they can already do. The game-based nature of TGFU, Teaching Games for Understanding, means that the teacher must be effective observers of gameplay in order to encourage thinking process during gameplay, diagnose the performance problems of participants, and identify solutions. Observation of the inquiry game, things to look for as the teacher. Observe the students' body positions, the critical elements of rolling the ball towards a target, how they hold the ball, what foot they step forward with, and how their arm swings. Observe if students are staying behind the line when they release the ball. Observe where and when students release the ball. Observe where the ball goes. Is it too far to the right, too far to the left? If it bounces, if it's successful, unsuccessful. Observe how the students interact with each other during gameplay. Are they helping each other out? Are they putting each other down? Are they being supportive? And most importantly, are they being safe and staying on task? Types of questions to ask the students during this initial game. A tactical question is, what did you do to get the ball to roll towards the target? How were you successful? Space, where did you look when you rolled the ball? And where did you have to roll the ball from? So talking about the foot fault line. Timing, when was the best time to release the ball from your hand? Risk, what is the risk of rolling the ball faster? And what is the benefits of rolling it faster? Skill, how do you hold the ball? How do you step? How do you swing your arm? And when do you let go of the ball? There are many inquiry game freezes, whole class freezes in the beginning, especially to explain and demonstrate the activity. And then if need be, to change lanes. Each group might have individual freezes to redirect students who may be off task, to correct students individually or in small groups, to provide praise or constructive criticism, and for any safety reasons that may come up. After the inquiry game, they will need to practice. So practice task 1 is a partner bowling game where each pair of students will be given 2 poly spots, 1 ball, and 1 bowling pin. The students will stand across from each other with the pin in the middle, and the students will practice thinking more about how to roll the ball and the critical elements of rolling towards a target to knock over the pin. So the goal is to knock 1 pin on each roll, and some teacher's cues is to step forward with the foot on the opposite side of the body as the ball, bend your knees so that you're lower to the ground, keeping your toes and your hips facing forward, swing your arm straight back behind you, and then down and forward, and release the ball when your hand is by your front toe. Some questions to ask. Why does it matter where you release the ball? Why do you need to be close to the ground? And where should you be looking? Here is the game design for practice task 1. The yellow spots indicate the students. The circle in the middle is the bowling pin, and then the ball. So they'll just roll it back and forth. Practice task 2 is a 3-pin bowling game. Each pair of students will have 2 poly spots, 1 ball, and 3 bowling pins. One student will stand on the poly spot at the bowling line, the foot fault line, and one will stand behind the bowling pins. Similar to the fitness bowling, the bowler gets 3 rolls to knock over the pins. The student behind the pins rolls the ball back and fixes the pins if the bowler knocks over all 3 or their 3 rolls are over. Having less pins and being able to have more turns will allow for greater practice at the skill. The goal is to knock down as many pins as possible in 3 rolls, and different teacher cues. Step forward with the opposite side of the body as the ball. Bend your knees to get low to the ground. Swing your arms straight back behind you, down and forward. Keep your hips and toes facing forward. Look at your target and release the ball when your hand is by your front toe. Different questions to ask. Which pin should you try to hit first? This is a tactical question that will allow for more critical thinking at this level now that they've practiced the skill a few times. And what happens if you release the ball too early or too late? Practice task 2, game design. The yellow spot is the bowler. They're behind the foot fault line, and they're bowling towards the 3 pins that are set up. And the blue spot is the partner, who is there to help roll the ball back. After the 3 rolls, the students switch positions. During this task, there's a lot of time to do whole group freezes and even switch partners so that the students can help each other. Practice task 3 is a fun game called Battleship, where the students are split into 2 teams, one team on one half of the gym and the other team is on the other half. There are bowling pins scattered on both sides with circles around them. The object of the game is to use your bowling skills and roll the ball at the pins on the other team's side and knock them over. Students can also stand in front of the pins, of their own pins, outside of the circle to defend them. Once all the pins on one team's side is knocked over, their ship has sunk and the other team wins. So the goal is to work together as a team to knock over the other team's bowling pins by rolling with the correct skill elements of bowling. Cues: remember to use your bowling cues, work together as a team, and protect your team pins by blocking from the front. Questions: how can you work as a team in this game, and what are some strategies? So this task is good in bowling because it allows the kids a competitive game where bowling generally is more of a controlled game, still very competitive, but doesn't have the fun element of a team game like this. Here is the game design of Battleship. The gym is divided in half, and there are some students rolling the balls, some students blocking the pins. The pins are inside the circles. So the application game, which would be a candlepin bowling. So rolling for accuracy and direction. The game is candlepin bowling with 10 pins. Utilizing the lesson focus is utilizing skills and knowledge learned in the previous lessons to bowl a more successful, realistic game. The goal is to knock down all of the pins. So here is the candlepin bowling diagram, and as you can see, it is very similar to the previous fitness bowling, with a little less fitness and a little more focus on bowling. So you have the bowler at the yellow spot, the pin setup spot is the blue, the orange is going to be the student coach spot. So this is where the students are going to help each other if the bowler isn't getting low enough, isn't releasing the ball in the right position, this student can help. And the pink spot is the scorekeeper spot. They're going to keep track of how many pins each student knocks over. The arrows still indicate the direction the students rotate after the turn is over. The bowler still goes 3 times, and the lanes are still divided. The conditions, like I just said before, what everybody does at each position. With this setup, you can have the student coach be a peer assessor for the bowler, and they can make a check mark next to each one of these boxes that the bowler is using the critical elements of bowling. So the bowler steps forward with the correct foot, the bowler's hips and toes are pointed towards the target, the bowler's knees are bent, the body is low, the arm swings back and forth, the bowler releases the ball by their front toe, and the bowler is looking at their target. I got this out of our textbook, the tactical frameworks for the elementary target game. I've adapted it towards bowling. It helps for the teacher to understand what needs to happen for the skill execution. So closure, the bowling is a game that every elementary student has either heard of or participated in some way. I find it important to teach elementary students the skills and knowledge to be successful at this game because it is a game they can enjoy for their lives, no matter their skill or ability. Bowling is a fun sport that students can learn to participate in for a lifetime. Utilizing the TGFU model, teaching elementary bowling is beneficial to both students and the teacher. Teaching games for understanding uses a constructive approach to learning. It builds on a student's prior knowledge of and experiences with sport-related games within a socially constructed environment. I believe that the Teaching Games for Understanding model will work very well with my bowling unit. A deeper look at the explanation of my game design. The tactical problem was rolling for accuracy and direction. When you're designing this game, the foot fault line can be adjusted, can be closer to the pins for students who aren't as skilled and further away from students who are more skilled. The size of the ball can also be adjusted. A larger ball will make it easier to hit the pins. All right, thank you for listening to my presentation.